Hey, how your mom and dad? Welcome to the Far Reaches podcast. We are four friends from Eastern Oregon who've traveled the world and wound up scattered across the U.S. Join us as we get together to talk about current events, old events, agriculture, politics, movies, books, stocks, love, and even a little bit of life. No, we don't always agree, but we stay friends and even enjoy a few laughs. We think you will too, so come on along and enjoy the ride. And don't forget, keep on reaching. Hey, don't forget to stop by our special friends at B&K Auto Salvage who help bring this podcast to you each and every week. Folks, with over 1,200 used vehicles in stock and a large selection of 4x4 parts available, that's always being updated. B&K Auto Salvage is your Eastern Oregon one-stop shopping for the automotive world. And be sure to listen very close every week for the Far Reaches promo code that's going to get you discounted pricing and bumps on those prices on that scrap. So that's our good friends at B&K Auto Salvage. Make sure you told them the Reacher sent you and listen every week for the promo code to get extra savings. Hey, greetings and salutations. You like that, or you like how your mom and them better? I don't know.
I like how your mom and them.
Okay. Hey, how your mom and them? Welcome to season 4 of Far Reaches podcast. That's right, we're back. We are live on the Facebook. If you're watching this later, we were live on the Facebook. We don't have quorum. We have myself, Mr. Joel, and Richard. We are the Far Reaches. We're brought to you this week and every time we show up in this crazy little world of ours by our beautiful, magical friends at B&K Auto Salvage in the Grand Ronde Valley. That's LeGrand and downtown historic Baker City. So make sure you call them in there. Get Bo for all your scrap needs. The discounts on pull parts. You're going to get more money when you sell scrap. It just don't get any better. Support them. They support us. Y'all support everybody. So welcome. Season 4 premiere. We usually do like after roundup. We kind of like have a nice cleansing and coming to Jesus, and then we kick off another season. And here we are. Tonight we have myself, Joel, and Richard. Raleigh is in parts unknown, probably buried up in a pile of hay somewhere. But for those of you that's your first time watching Far Reaches or listening, we are 4 gentlemen from across the country who have some things in common and some things not, but we like to get together and talk them through and have a little update. So we start this off what we call the reach around. So we all kind of go around the table, give a little update, and kick her off. So gentlemen, who's first?
Joel's been to Ireland. He's been the farthest. He should start.
That's a good point. He's been to the furthest reach. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been. I don't even know where to begin.
Everywhere.
I went to Ireland for a week.
Not just any week.
I could tell you about. Yeah, I went roundup week.
Is that a conscious decision, or just like, hey, we got good tickets and I'm going to go then? Or like, I always go home for roundup, so I'm going to go somewhere else.
You know, I spent a lot of time in Pendleton over the last 2 years, 3 years. And I don't know. So I was there for 2 months over the summer. And I came back here and I suggested, hey, maybe I'll skip roundup this year.
Yeah.
And just sort of jumped at that opportunity to be like, can we go to Ireland like within minutes?
Awesome.
Fuck, I guess so. I hadn't fully made up my mind, but yeah, sure. I've been wanting to go to Ireland for a long time.
Yeah.
I suppose if you're going to miss roundup, you can't just be sitting at home doing work. You got to
probably
occupy your mind.
Uses I was like, damn, well played, Joel. Well played.
I moved to New York in 2006, in November of 2006. So, and I think that first year, 2007, I skipped roundup that year. Just because I couldn't afford it, a plane ticket, right? That was depressing as fuck, man.
Dude, yeah. First one I missed when I moved was awful. Yeah, people sending pictures and texts, and you're seeing it on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're sitting at work doing something, and people are being like, "We're going to let our buck room." God damn. I used to have nightmares of like, it's Saturday a roundup and it's like 5 o'clock and I haven't been to the letter buck room yet. So I'm doing that thing where you're like trying to run to the letter buck room and people are like stopping you. You can't run fast enough. And It's a nightmare.
It's like Tommy Boy is trying to get to class and it's closed. You know, like, no, for the love of God. Yeah.
Yeah, but it would have been a fun year too, because Casey on the Roundup board and Brian's on the Happy Canyon board. And
yeah.
I think it would neat to be there and support them, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Ireland is a good distraction though. So we took an overnight flight into Dublin and immediately, so I think we landed at like 9 a.m. and we immediately just get on a bus to Galway. So you cross the entire island, and that was like another 3-hour bus ride. And then I think we spent the first 3 days in Galway. So Galway is like, I guess you would think of it as like party central. It's where like a huge bar culture, like all over Ireland is big pub culture and everything. But
yeah,
Galway is like cobblestone roads, a lot of foot traffic. Like the roads are for people walking around.
Oh, perfect.
We stayed right in the middle of it, right on, spelled like you would pronounce it Quay Street, but it's pronounced Key. Right across the street from this bar called the Keys, or you would pronounce it the Quays or something like that, which was like one of the busiest spots in town. So it's kind of nice. From there, I think that I get the trip confused a little bit, but I think from there we took a day trip to the Aran Islands. We went to Inishmore.
Oh.
So you took a little bus ride and then get on a ferry for about a half hour, 45 minutes.
Oh, cool.
There's 3 islands. I don't know the names of all of them, but Inishmore is the big main one. And there's like 800 year-round residents. There's a movie coming out actually that's filmed there. So we took a tour of it. You get there, you can take like a horse-drawn carriage tour, or there's like other tour groups. But we found a guy that lives on the island. He owns some land on it. And so instead of like going on the outer roads, he kind of cut us through the middle of it, through his land. And it's really neat. It's like they have like if you've seen it on TV or pictures and stuff, there's, instead of like fencing, like,
oh yeah,
Richard, you probably have fucking fencing everywhere, but yeah, all their fences are made out of stone.
Yeah, and
the tour guide said that they started doing that about 3,000 years ago. So it's just everywhere. So it's all protected. You're not allowed to like take any of it down, but it's everywhere. Wherever you're like, and some of these plots are, 20 by 20. The whole island is like that. Yeah. It's crazy. Oh, yeah. So we stop and we go to this place called the Wormhole, which is like a natural rectangular, nicely cut out thing into you get on top of a cliff and you look over and it's cut out in the ocean, nice rectangle. Where actually Red Bull does like a annual, like a diving thing.
Oh yeah.
They dive into that shit. Just nuts. That was really cool. Yeah, the guy, our tour guide, they had some cows and stuff, so I was trying to pretend like I knew what I was talking about, trying to channel Richard and Raleigh, right?
Chat him up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, he was a really cool guy. He played Irish football. What is that? Is that rugby? I can't remember if it's Gaelic football or rugby.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one he did. But yeah, I got to help. So he had to tear down one of the walls to let the older people in our group through, and then I got to help him put that back together.
I saw that.
Yeah, Inishmore was really cool. There's a movie coming out called The Banshees of Inisheera, which has what's his face, Colin Farrell.
I think I've seen a trailer for that.
Yeah, it looks really good, right?
It's the one where like nobody likes him.
Well, it's about Colin Farrell, and he's friends with this old guy, and the old guy was like, "I'm not going to talk to you anymore."
Yep, that's the one. Yep.
He gets really upset. He's like, "Why not?"
Because I'm stunned. Yeah.
yeah, you talk about nothing but nonsense. And he's like, but yeah, it looks really good. It's coming out later this month.
Oh, cool.
But
Let's keep an eye out.
It was filmed there, and we stood in the location where they put up like the little house that looks out over the rest of the island. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Another day trip, we went to the cliffs of Moher, but it was very foggy, so we couldn't get in there. Which was kind of a disaster because that was a 2-hour bus ride to get there.
Oh, geez.
And then we go to walk up 10 minutes up to the top to look over. You can't see shit. It's all fog. And
but imagine.
yeah, this is like at 2:00. I'm like, okay, so how do we get back? Tried to call a cab from the information desk, and like, yeah, they're not responding. Like, the bus is going to be here at 6.
Oh, shite.
So I'm like, I don't want to just sit around here for 4 hours. But so we hitchhiked back into about 10 miles away. There's a little town. Can't remember what it was called, but like a tiny little town that had a couple pubs in it. So we went there. We went with some people that we hitchhiked with.
That's friendly. Hey, come on to town. We'll get a couple pints. I've done that in Texas.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And they had they were supposed to have live music, but we didn't get to see any of that. But yeah, so 6:00 rolls around, we get back on the bus. I'd had, 5 or 6 pints of Guinness at that point, and I make it about 3/4 of the way back to Galway. And I'm like, I have to get off this bus. I'm gonna wet my pants. And I'm like, so I leave Jess on the bus. I'm like, I'm getting off, and I'll figure out how to get home.
Oh my God. How far away were you?
Like a half hour, probably at that point. So I got off, immediately found, like, thankfully there was like kind of remote, a little park there. I peed in the park and walked 5 minutes into town and had another pint, called a cab.
Beat Jess on the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, I left her. Well, she stayed on the bus strategically because Galway, we knew there was taxis, and if I couldn't find a taxi in this town, she could come retrieve me.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. Oh, there was.
Yeah.
Did your phone work over there pretty well?
Yeah, the phone worked fine. I signed up for like a plan of being away for 2 weeks or a week or whatever. Then the next day we went down to Cork. We were in Cork for 3 days. From there, we went to a little town called Cove, which was the last port of call for the Titanic before that set out and crashed.
Wow.
I wasn't expecting that, like a fucking Titanic museum, but we went through a Titanic museum. That was also a neat little town. But my favorite town was Kinsale, which was another little bus ride from Cork. Just like a little windy road, classic, how I always pictured Ireland towns is like, windy cobblestone roads with pubs everywhere you look. And
yeah,
yeah, that was fun. I liked Kinsale. And then, so we were there for Cork for 3 days. And then went to Dublin for 2. Dublin is like, it was fine.
It's a city, yeah.
Saw some like historic pubs and did the Guinness brewery and all that. Yeah, man, that was Ireland.
Mostly beer, or did you drink any Irish?
I drank probably, I don't know, maybe 100 pints of Guinness over a week.
But it tastes so good there, doesn't it?
It was really good, and I like the culture of it. Like, you meet so many people that are very friendly, and they hear you with an American accent, and they actually like seek you out. And they're friendly to you.
Yeah.
They buy you beers and have like you ever split the G? Do that thing with the Guinness? Try to split the G on the cup, on the glass. So every pint, a Guinness, proper pint of Guinness has a Guinness glass with like the harp and it says Guinness below it. And between the harp and the letters, you want to take on one drink or one trip to your mouth. You want to drink just enough so that the level is right between the letters and the harp.
Gotcha.
Of course, that's the game.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful game.
Exactly. So close to perfection. Yeah. Because like, they get glasses, a nice line. And so, yeah.
I got real good at it.
Do it again. Yeah.
And then, but man, Guinness just messes up your stomach. Like the whole week, my stomach was in like, Jess was kind about it though. She didn't care. But God, it was a mess. But
Did you take you off the Guinness when you got back to the States?
no, I'm still doing it. Still drinking Guinness.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
God, after having right there from mother's breast, man, I can hardly drink Guinness anymore.
It's
I
way
always heard
different.
that it was better. It's a little bit better in Boston and New York, though.
No,
I will have one in Boston. Yeah, but
maybe in
We'll have
Boston,
one
I don't
anywhere.
know.
You're not that picky.
yeah,
The difference is like it's not the liquid itself is fine. It's like the frothy head on the
Mhm.
Guinness is like more soupy
it's bitter over
in
here.
Ireland. Yeah.
I think it's bitter in the States, but yeah, it never stopped me before, as Richard said.
Yeah, it was good. But other than that, I got back here. I joined a new darts league. So last season I was on the Tuesday night league, which is a park slope league, which is where I live. And this season I got invited to join the Bay Ridge League. Bay Ridge is another neighborhood in Brooklyn, a little farther south. But a lot better players, better competition, more difficult. I had a game last night and I actually went 4-0, did pretty good.
Damn.
But there's like a learning curve. There's so much more pressure. The first week I was 2-2. Week 2 I was 1-2, and then something clicked. I've gotten over the last week. I've turned a corner. I've taken a step forward.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, like before here, I went down, have a couple drinks, and play a little darts. And I think I played 3 games of 501, and I got a couple tons. I got a ton 125 on one turn. But that used to be like rare. Hitting a triple 20 is like few and far between. But now I'm doing it pretty regularly. I'm getting a lot better.
In your groove. Cool.
I want to become a professional dart player now.
I can sense it.
That's about it, man. I mean, there's probably other stuff, but I can't think.
It'll come to you.
Yeah. Richard, what's going on with you?
Richard, what's happening?
How's your mom and salutations?
How's your mom and salutations? Yeah. Potential. That's got strong potential. Yes.
Oh man. It's been crazy times around here. So things are really going good in the real estate, and the green grass has stuck around abnormally long for the middle of a drought. So I don't know what the hell is going on, but the cattle are all going to make it like it was a regular wet year, even though it was a drought. But this summer, I'm just stating stuff that everybody knows. Down in Lakeview, it's never got that hot.
No.
And like everybody's going, oh, this is the hottest ever been. I'm like, oh shit. One time in August, I was sleeping under a horse trailer at 108 degrees. And that was hot. And that never hit 180 degrees, 8 degrees this year.
At night,
and it wasn't just 108 degrees for one day. It was like 108 degrees for multiple days. And then I remember being in Burning Man and it being 215 degrees for 2 straight weeks. So all this media and everything saying, oh, it's the hottest. Yeah, not here. And everybody that's around Oregon that says it's the hottest, not at all. I'm sure Micah can remember summers that were hotter.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Probably just people pushing the narrative, right? Similar to talking about how hurricanes are increasing in frequency and strength, where it turns out that's all bullshit.
Look, there's obviously some fluctuations in our climate. Like, I will admit that it seems to me in my lifetime that when summer starts and when wet season starts has changed a little bit. And the variety of the wetness that we're seeing is different. But I don't know that it's I'm going to say it's different. It's climate change. Yes, it's different. Is it the end of the world? I'm thinking maybe not. So, but that narrative, like you're talking about, that to me is annoying because I have been in this desert and it's been really hot. And this summer was really sort of a cakewalk. I don't know, how was it at the Pendleton Roundup? Because I remember going the first time I went to the Pendleton Roundup, it was hotter than the hubs of hell. It was 9/11.
Yeah.
And you just sweated. You were still sweating when you were walking downtown and it was dark. It was incredibly hot. And it doesn't seem like Labor Day or the Pendleton Roundup was that particular bad this year. So
It's perfect weather
Yep.
this year.
It was cool here.
Yeah.
So yeah, there might have been some hot days and non-characteristic times of the year, but overall, I'm not going to buy that this region had a hotter summer than any other time. So, but real estate's kicking along and got school started, so doing that big shuffle. And what other exciting stuff? It's just sort of been a work-a-day summer for me. There's nothing really. Oh, I did take a 3-day trip up to Billings, which was really fun to be on the
Really?
Ranch Investor podcast.
Oh, nice.
The first episode dropped last week. I think it did pretty good. I'm not sure, but got a lot of positive feedback from my inner network, and saw a lot of people shared stuff with me that they hadn't shared with before. So that's awesome. I think that it was nice to talk on a niche podcast about something I was passionate about. So that was really. And
What are we, chopped liver?
This co-op, it's just the co-op discussion.
Yeah, the co-op discussion. So no, but I love Billings. I always have loved Billings, and so it was nice. It was 99 degrees when I got up there, but I stayed downtown and went up to a little bar they have there that's has Guinness that I know of. It had about 3 Guinnesses, and the guy goes, "Oh, you want another one?" I'm like, "Yeah, this one. After this one, 3 turns into 6, and 6 turns into 12, and then then you're kicking me out of here. So I think I'll just go." So, but and
That's
then
your theory.
yeah, but I wish I would have had a little bit of time more, but quick trip up there. Went to the Winnemucca Fair and saw my niece and nephew's animals. I've never been to the Winnemucca Fair, so that was really fun to sort of get out of the norm. Had some stuff come up, wasn't able to swing Pendleton. It was on my list of stuff to do this year. So hopefully, fingers crossed, next year I'll make it up there. I was sort of sick I missed it. It seemed like Pendleton was this perfect convergent of a lot of our peers that probably haven't been all stacked up in the same place in a long time. And I sort of kicking myself I missed it, but life happens.
Start planning this year for next, man. There'll be even more people there. Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to go into fall, and I'm hoping I'm pinning great hopes on the summer of 2023 because I've sort of got the shaft with long COVID last year, and this summer's been incredibly difficult. So I'm hoping for my hot girl summer.
There you go, Richard. I can sense it.
Where are you at? Like, so right now, going into October, where are you at? Like what goes on right now? The cattle with the cows.
I run around and wring my hands a lot and bug the shit out of the guys that have the cattle because there's absolutely nothing I can really do for 4 to 6 weeks. But
when do you sell them for slaughter and all that?
Well, a lot of them are going to go into the grass-fed program, and that's a big thing. We just got done with hay, and I got to talk to work through the banker how many calves I'm going to keep in the grass-fed program, how many I'm going to sell, and I also have to get my stupid. So as of hopefully this January 1st, I'll be buying this real estate company. So I still have one lousy test to pass. I've never had such a hard time passing such an easy test. I don't know what it is. I just cannot get the questions. So I have everything to be a principal broker, and I just have this one little obstacle. So I have to resolve that by the end of the year. But
Dude, congratulations, man. That'll be awesome.
yeah. So yeah, and we did. Man, oh, I forgot we made some really big strides on the ranch. I had this big plan this year to plant a bunch of trees. I got one tree planted just out of pure stubbornness and defiance. I just went out and stuck it in the ground because I wasn't able to plant all the ones I wanted. But I rebuilt the ends of our field that has been a chronic problem for years. Put in all new pipe bracing, and really build it up. So hopefully that I won't have to worry about it again in my lifetime, because I think that's why you should build fence. So
Just make them out of stone, just forever.
yeah, if we don't quite have that many stones, that takes a lot of stones to build that many. So I can't even imagine how rocky Ireland was previously. And then if you think about it, think of how moving all those rocks changed the whole environment of Ireland.
Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting on that. Sorry to interject, but yeah, like you could tell on Inishmore, like it's pretty rocky, but they move it into the fence, and then you're like, why is it so green? But apparently they go down to the shore and they bring up seaweed.
Oh,
to
soil
create the soil. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's been a long time since I updated, but that's pretty much where things are at with us. And, I'm actually really looking forward to this winter, and I love this time of year. Fall's probably my favorite year as I get older.
Yeah, me too.
So,
yeah.
Yep. That's my update. That's my salutations.
Wow. Well, sell your mama. Yeah. Let's see. Now, there's been a lot of stuff going on with me as well. Work-wise, has been going crazy. Took the girlfriend home, Kristen. We went home to Pendleton together for Roundup. So that was probably our biggest trip so far. We've gone to Savannah and some other stuff, but yeah, we had a blast. Flew back into Boise, and we're going to go to the really wanted to see the interpretive center in Baker. You know, that's a pretty cool deal. And the sons of bitches are doing some kind of full remodel on it. So they had the road like mostly closed, but not quite enough. So it's a rental car. So we drove around the barrier and went up there anyways and spent about an hour. There's a lot of stuff you can walk around outside as well. So we did that anyways and had our own tour, and then blasted on over the hill to B-Town and got in Thursday, about 5 o'clock, I guess, or something like that. So we met the herd and Max. I'd given my good friends, the McNamees, got my Thursday tickets. So we met them at Max afterwards as well. So it was Jim and Maria, and then Miss Amy came over as well. And then Kurt and Jenny and everybody else. And my buddy Jimmy Don came up from Tejas as well. So we had a nice little herd and Max Thursday night. And then Friday, got to go see Colby and TJ doing the announcement of the parade in the morning. So I went down and rattled their cage a little bit and got to see all that. And then Saturday, and it was just freaking perfect weather the whole time. So yeah, Friday was running into pot roast and everybody else. And then I do have to give a tremendous shout out to one individual in particular, especially on Saturday. Kristen was just dying to get a freaking day sheet, like had to have one because it's rodeo. She wanted a day sheet. So poor Bo Sewell sits down below where I do. And so I'm like, hey, go see that maniac down there. See if you can talk him into giving your day sheet. So she went down. She did not know that I knew him or vice versa. So she talked him into giving up his day sheet. So Bo, thank you, good sir. You're a gentleman and a scholar and a friend to a woman in need. Yeah. So Roundup was a blast. Unfortunately, Kristen got COVID when we got back, but recovered after 2 days of death. But I just had sniffles. So I think once you get Roundup COVID, I think you're good for forever after that. Yeah. So
it's the most legitimate form of COVID. It's Roundup COVID.
Roundup COVID is a whole different kind. Yeah. So I did work from home that way because it was like, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday morning. It must have been Wednesday morning. Yeah, I have an early meeting, a sales meeting on Wednesday mornings, and she sends me a text. She's like, I've got the COVID. And I was like, oh shit. Well, we have been in close proximity for approximately 3 weeks, so I probably better check. So I did my sales meeting from my office. I'm like, I want to go home. So I tested negative like for like 8 days in a row, but I still work from home just because why not? Yeah. So
Where's Kristen from?
She's from well, she was born and raised in Jacksonville most of her life, but she lives here in Gainesville.
Oh, so
Yeah.
What was her impression of Pendleton, Oregon?
She loves it. She actually wants to go back. Can you believe that? Yeah. Like I'd never been shopping at the gift shop before, but we did that and got some good swag.
Drove by
There's a
bitch
gift shop in Pendleton.
Much.
Say again.
Go ahead, Joel.
No, I didn't know there was a gift shop. What Pendleton Woolen Mills?
No, like across the street now. You got the freaking whole Roundup office.
Oh, the Roundup store.
Yeah.
That's a nice store.
It really is. I was like, holy buckets. Yeah, like we bought some stuff earlier today. We were over at Max and we were walking back to put it up. And I'm like, well, got to walk through there anyway. So we bought a whole bunch more shit. Yeah. So it's good. Yeah. And Richard, we got in too late to go to the bench and we never would have made it to P-Town.
I know. I was giving you crap.
Yeah. And like, well, I had to tell her about our trip when we went to Kiko's wedding, when like break time. And so one of my favorite Richard stories. Yeah. So no, she wants to go back to Pendleton, even either go back to Roundup or definitely just go back to visit during like normal times as well, because it's a little bit different. But
did you use our seats? And was it R?
I think we did part of the time, yeah, because I don't know, one day it was like crowded up by my seats, so we just sat down at Kurt and Jenny anyways, and did that because mine are like 2 rows up, I think, from y'all's. But so we hung out there. And
I was wondering if whatever happened to the tickets this year. Doesn't sound like Brian and Casey use them.
No, I didn't. I saw both of them, but I never saw them in the seats. Yeah, so yeah. So I actually watched most of the rodeo on Saturday, which is good. And we had we were in a roast, so we were Double D, and he wanted to go 17 for a little bit and shot the breeze in there, and then we had to go to LBR. So it's true. Friday was kind of like the acclimation day of all things, like what you need to see at Roundup to be at Roundup. So, and West End Beer Stand, of course, and all that fun stuff. So
did you I don't know how to phrase this appropriately for the audience, but did you see any boobs in Letter Buckram?
No, we did not.
Really?
Yeah. No, we did. When we first walked in, Ralphie was hard at work. Yeah. So
yeah, that's where to stand. You gotta stand next to Ralph.
Ralphie's like the epicenter of boobage. Yeah. So I was like, hey darling, let's go over here. Yeah. So we shuffled around the side. Yeah.
You gotta stand here. Here you get a nice angle of what Ralph's looking at.
Yeah.
Ralph's standing behind Ralph or in front of him, I mean.
No, yeah. So he had eyes on her and we just casually wandered over here. Yeah. I thought
the picture I showed you in the Letter Buckram seemed pretty sparse compared to the last time I was there. The Letter Buckram seemed pretty sparse, the picture that you posted from there.
Oh yeah, well, it was early in the day. Well, just after run-in, yeah. So not too bad. But yeah, it wasn't casual enough to butt time.
It's absolutely true. Ever since they opened up the Double D, the Letter Buckram has suffered. I feel like they need to get rid of that extra room. Which doesn't really have a Letter Buckram theme anyway. It's like kind of not in the spirit of it. You gotta get rid of the old Hall of Fame. Go back to the basic.
Oh yeah, shut that down a little bit further, or part of me, like, I'm gonna say it out loud, like maybe you shut Double D down after 3 events, and then everybody has to go to LBR. But I like it outside there. It's really nice. Like you can stand around, eat peanuts, watch shit, bet on the if you want to watch Indian relay races, like that's the really good spot to be.
Barrel racing is really cool from there too.
If you can say that out loud, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then we just had there was the big hurricane that came roaring through a couple weeks ago now, or last week, I suppose. Yeah, it was last week. So I think it was Ian. Yeah, I sound so casual about it because like when we were watching it, it was literally coming straight up my arse like most of the week. And so then like Wednesday was like really dark outside. Like it was almost like evening all day long, like almost like a really strong blizzard, like the dark snow clouds come in. That's how it was, but because it wasn't windy or anything like that, I was just like, oh, this must be like the calm before the storm they talk about. So it was like heading our way, and like we had gone out like on.
Well, you're closer to the east coast of Florida than
Not
the
by
west
much.
coast, right?
It's right, almost
Right
dead
in
nut
the
in the center. Yeah,
yeah.
pretty close. So we'd gone out Saturday or Sunday, I think, and like, got some. I went to Harbor Freight, got a couple extra lanterns, and just because it was fun to get on over Harbor Freight, anyways, and some batteries and stuff like that. People were buying water like maniacs, and that was like Saturday before that week. And then, like I said, Wednesday was super dark but quiet and calm, and so it was still headed towards us pretty hard. So we actually closed the lab on Thursday and sent everyone home because the university itself was closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so we're on part of the innovation part of campus. But so yeah, Thursday though, like I got up, there'd been like a half an inch of rain on my rain gauge and like no real wind, and there was some like blown leaves and stuff, but like it had definitely turned and raged through like Orlando and up through that way, and then actually went around us and then up the East Coast. So Thursday was pretty nice day, actually.
The pictures coming out of Fort Myers are incredible.
Hammered. Yeah, it hit that hard. Like it was still like 100, like Cat 4 or 5 when it hit there, like huge winds, big surge, like that was a lot of water. Like there's a lot of houses that are gone there. No doubt. It dumped a lot of water across the middle, like Kissimmee. There's like a bunch of big ranches in Kissimmee in that area that are basically flooded still. It drains pretty quick, but like they got just 20 inches of rain. Even here, that's too much rain to put somewhere. So, but it's coming back out. But like that was probably the worst part. That first day it was on shores, it did the most damage, no doubt. But so it's weird. Yeah. Like, you think it's coming right up your ass, and like everybody's like, "You're gonna leave?" And I'm like, no, like I don't know where it's gonna go for one. How far do you drive? Like, I'm probably about the best place I can be right here. So
I was thinking that.
We got that big drainage ditch behind your house.
Yeah, so like,
water, right?
All the way around it. Yeah, so it's kind of high, anyways. And I was like,
it's like a moat. Kind of got a moat.
Exactly. Yeah. Keep your distance. So
alligators in there and shit.
Might be already. I don't know. I've never seen them, but who knows? Doesn't mean they're not there. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin's folks live in Sarasota.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of seemed like it was right in the path of it, but and they live across the street from the ocean, but apparently they didn't have any damage. They aren't in town, but no damage. They're calmed down.
Yeah, like my boss flew in to Tampa on Monday and then flew out again on Friday and wasn't delayed a single second out of Tampa. So and he came in from the UK. So it was just, but then my other buddy that I work with had come in from Utah, and he was supposed to fly out Thursday, and then delayed him till Friday, even though probably didn't have to, but they did it like on Wednesday, just out of like abundance of caution, as one might say. But so it was interesting to see like the prep and some of like the bit of the panic, So I'm going to look on Facebook Market for the used generator, because people were buying like generator like everywhere, dude. It was like chaos for that, and bottled water, and there was no bread at the store, like things like that. You're just like, calm down. Like, you don't eat this much food any other day of the week. Why are you going ape shit now? But that's just that's people. So because I was like, I don't need a generator, and then I was like, man, if my freezer dies for like 3 days, I'll have like a hell of a barbecue. But that's like, there's a lot of stuff in there that would cost me about as much as I'm going to spend on a generator. So it's kind of I still wouldn't want to replace it. So that's all that fine, Colorado craft beef and Heart Brand and everybody else. So yeah, but that's probably the higher points, going home with a woman to round up, and then my first real hurricane scare since I've been here. So, but somebody was talking, or my boss from the UK was like, this is not that big a deal. These don't really happen that often, and we're like, we have what's called hurricane season. That's how often it happens. So yeah, he's like, oh, right, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Is there one on the way?
All right, there's some like storms. You always get updates now on the phone, but I don't think so. Yeah, so
There's one heading towards Mexico right now. But
mhm.
I'm gonna use the restroom. Be right back.
All right, make sure you take your microphone off this time. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's funny. So yeah, I just went ahead and spent like the $20 on the fancy NOAA weather update dinger bobber, and so
Oh, cool. That's cool. That's a cool program.
it is a really good good radar, good forecast. So yeah, so there's a bunch of storms still like down there off the coast of Cuba, like building around, but it looks fairly calm here for a while. So, but it's been getting down in like the 60s and stuff at night, which is like, or even mid 50s. So that's like this week is like 50s at night and 75 to 85 in the day, which is like that's nice. Yeah, that's really nice.
Do you guys follow? Oh, go ahead. I'm looking for my slippers.
Yeah, my slippers. My programs. Oh.
Yeah,
Do we follow what, Joel?
I was gonna ask if you guys follow. Do you guys know who Michael Schellenberger is?
Yep.
I think so.
He was gonna run for governor. I think he did.
He did.
Newsom. But he's like a liberal, common. I don't. How would you describe him, Richard? I don't know how you describe him.
He was a super environmentalist, and
yeah,
he decided that maybe not all things can be solved by going radically left, and sort of work back to the center. Really, sort of common sense guy, and very compassionate about the things that he follows. I don't agree with him on everything, but I think that if we're going to have Democrats and Republicans, we're going to have this is the kind of guy I want to see on the other side of the aisle. He's a good human being. He's in it for the right reasons. And I don't think that unless you're like pawn scucking some corrupt scum, you can be in politics. So,
well, he brings like receipts to all of his arguments, as in like, so of course after this hurricane just hit Florida, of course the news cycle is hurricanes are becoming more frequent and more intense and blah blah blah. But he used NOAA data to show that no, they're not. There's more wealth in the path these days of hurricanes. Like, so one of the things he showed a picture of like Miami Beach or something from like 1917 versus today, and you can, it's just full of hotels and shit now. Back then there was like one hotel on there, so the hurricane hit. Yeah, it's not a big monetary damage. Now there's just more people. But the data doesn't really lie, and the fucking journalists at Washington Post and the New York Times, they're just spreading the narrative, and it's unbelievable. And he calls them out on it, and they just don't respond to him. I think it's just unbelievable.
I think he had a little bit of trouble with Twitter blocking him also.
No, wow.
Maybe not censoring him all out, censoring him, but sort of suppressing his posts. And
he got shadow banned for his COVID vaccine work and anti lockdown policies of Newsom. And
I forgot. Yeah, he was. I thought it was weird his COVID stance. I thought he wouldn't have gone that far, but yeah.
He's a big proponent of so what he spends most of his time talking about is energy policy. Like Germany is shutting down all their nuclear power plants, while at the same time they're looking at, I think over there they're looking at a pretty harsh winter of energy.
Yeah, all the pipelines are shut down from Russia and all that stuff. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, So they're shutting down their power, and like that's just gonna, I don't know, it's gonna backfire on them, I think.
Obviously, nobody in NATO or European Union has cracked Sun Tzu's Art of War lately.
That's probably banned, dude. Yeah.
I love it when they go, the pipeline exploded, big surprise.
Yeah, you're like, Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody watched even a freaking James Bond movie, for God's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Read Tom Clancy. Like, you don't have to be like some kind of freaking genius, like deep in some kind of think tank. Like, I think, yeah, energy policy ought to be debated weekly on TV. Like, seriously, so yeah, I think if I had solar panels and I just lived in town and commuted, I might have an electric car so I could just charge it and piss around. I'd probably still just buy a motorcycle because it's cheaper. But like literally 3 days after California's like, in 10, 20 years, no more gas cars. The next day, hey, so don't run your air conditioners and shit, because we don't have enough power. And you're like, so what's gonna happen like when everybody has an electric car? Like, does anybody talk about where this shit's coming from? Like, the building is not an answer,
Another interesting thing I saw that I don't know if it's true is like physically not enough minerals to replace all the all the gas powered vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And my other favorite meme I saw today was all the power trucks, the lineman trucks lined up in Florida to go fix the power. Somebody wrote on the bottom, not one of these is electric.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, I've seen several stats about how much natural resources it takes to make batteries and everything else that goes into these cars. And like, we don't have like say there's like 30 things that you need to make these batteries. We don't have like 18 or 20 of them in the US.
Geez, I wrote a post about it. You would have thought I was burning babies.
Yeah, is that the one where you showed the fields full of like?
Yeah.
I think I shared that.
That's
I honestly had a guy.
I did research to make sure that's accurate.
Yeah.
So like, you don't want to share misinformation, and I checked it out, and it was true.
Yeah, I had a guy attack me. He still follows me. We're still sort of, but he thought that I was plagiarizing all my writing. And then he also said that there was no way anybody could produce as many posts as I do without stealing it from other people.
And then you like purposefully misspell words and fuck up grammar.
I did a little poll, just a tongue-in-cheek poll, and I said, I forget what all the options were. Do you believe I write my own content? Something, or is it just am I just a ghostwriter with bad typos?
Yeah, you're a good writer, Richard.
Tremendous writer.
I enjoy reading your posts.
And that's his point too. Like, yeah, the guy likes what you
edit
write.
them, but it's not that bad.
Don't edit them.
The fact that they're not edited perfectly.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
a reason why you wrote them.
Because if you edit them after you post them, then it suppresses the post.
I mean, like proofread it before you post it.
You don't know how many times I proofread it. I miss it every time.
You're looking at the final result already, Joel. Yeah. So.
Well, you have dyslexia, so that makes sense.
Right? I used to go back in like before they started suppressing posts that got edited, and I can sort of see why they do it, because people could say one thing and then change it. But,
absolutely.
I used to edit them. I'd read through them and I'd see something. I'd go back and change it, but that hurts me now, and so
don't do it, man. Yeah. No, you have a distinct writing style for one. B, I know like you got a thing. The 10 billion better things to do than have somebody else write your shit for you. Like, it's just preposterous to even mention it. Yeah.
Well, it's what do you call it? Chaotic for me. So
cathartic.
Yeah.
See, right there.
Who's the other guy that writes really good posts too? Your first one, Mike. Is it Ty Campbell? Is it Ty Campbell?
Marty Campbell.
Marty Campbell.
Yeah,
Marty writes pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He writes good stuff too.
Yeah.
Marty has a lot more discipline than I do. He writes every day.
Yeah. Yeah, but you like, I don't know. I like them both. I really like how your writing styles evolved too, Richard. I think it's a lot more poignant now, I think, which is cool. So are you like, you're getting better at sharing what you're really thinking and feeling, which I think is is pretty impressive. That's really difficult to do. So I really enjoy it.
Oh, I appreciate that, kind sir.
No, it's something we all need to do more of. But it's like let's have an open, honest debate about energy policy and electric cars and batteries and where power comes from, and what are we going to do about it? Like, what's the legitimacy of all these different things? Like, like, again, it sounds so ridiculous, but this gets all politicized, and like then nobody believes anything. It happens like with almost everything we get tangled up in these days. Is like, well, so, and then like next thing you know, somebody's just running out of their ass, and like it's not even true. Like, just stop, let's talk about it and put something in place. It's just so corrupted. It just sickens me, man.
Yeah, nobody's willing to tell the truth and level. I think that starts at the top. It's tone from the top. I've always worked at large corporations, right? So I worked at JP Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I won't say who I work for now.
Places. Yeah.
But
Wait.
What they always talk about is it's always about the tone from the top. And as an American, the tone from the top is coming from the president. And you see him spinning every little fucking thing and making it's gaslighting is the term, right? So, for example, recently Joe Biden's in Indiana. He's looking for Jackie, right?
Yeah.
And very clearly does not recall the fact that this woman is dead.
Mm-hmm. Like a month
ago.
And
it's like, where is she? She must not be here today.
Stand up. Yeah.
Jackie, where are you? Maybe she's not here. Jackie?
Yeah.
And then Jean Pierre, whatever her name is, she gets questioned on the press secretary.
Yeah.
Gets questioned about it. It's like, no, she was top of mind.
Top of mind. That's our phrase. Top of mind.
Can you just fucking admit that this guy has lost his mind and that there's no accountability whatsoever? And who is running the show behind the scenes? Where is there's no accountability for it.
It's the dude that said like 6 years ago, if he could just sit in the basement in his pajamas and run things, he would.
This country can never function properly until you have the right tone from the top and somebody taking accountability for these things. When things go wrong, maybe you say, yeah, he forgot. Like, that's fine.
Something. Yeah, that's okay.
He's met thousands and thousands of people. If he forgot that some random congressperson in Indiana died, like I could forgive that, but don't lie about it.
I think we're in the advent of a new ism. I don't think it's communism, and I don't think it's fascism, and I don't think it's socialism, but it's something new. And I really find that it draws many parallels to like 1926 through 1925. And there was all these, there was Mussolini,
35?
There was Hitler.
You mean 35?
And what people don't realize is it was batshit crazy in South America that time with currencies collapsing and coups and everything. And I really think that and it would be about the right timing. So we're at 2022. We've almost hit that 100-year cycle. And I think that's how long it takes. I think that's we've reached the end of our cultural memory of the last bad ism. And I think what we're going into is, I don't know what we're going to call it, maybe cronyism or like, I don't know, but something, it's not quite like the other things, but it's reflective of them. And we seem to reach a point when there's a group of people, and it seems to be about every 100 years, that think that they just know better than everybody else.
Well, what also comes to mind about that quote, I had to look it up so I get it right. And it's that one about hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. It takes about that long. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard, I think you're right. Like, I don't know what to call it either. It's like people forget easily. It's amazing to watch in real time how people are so quickly forgetting lessons of the past, which is like a pretty. I mean, I'm not going to claim that I'm super well versed and educated on history and especially economic history, but or political history. But the UN said today or yesterday that they had a suggestion in the environment that we're in now. It's where rates have to go up and blah blah blah. That they want to put price controls in place on certain things, and that is centralized planning. Yeah. That is communism, right?
Mm-hmm. Like, you know, 100-pound sand, dude. Yeah, like
you absolutely need to go. We're in a point now where decentralization is possible, and that's the answer to things. That's the answer to our problems: decentralization. And they're just doubling down on, hey, maybe we should try communism again.
Yeah, it's never worked so well anywhere else. That's why we don't teach it in school, dude. Like, we don't have history class anymore. Like, nobody knows about, you know, freaking Cold War and Russia and communism and like all that history. And, you know, I don't know if anybody even thinks like the freaking Holocaust is real. You know, like that all gets whitewashed over and just blighted over. It's like colonialism, and then you don't teach it. But like, that's why when they say those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it, that's where they're trying to go.
Yeah, it's like, man, hard times ahead. I feel like
opportunity. Man. I still have faith in the human spirit, no matter what. Like, we are just dumb and crazy enough to make shit happen and not give up when everybody else probably think you would. But like, some of the lunacy that we put up with and do is absolutely mind blowing. But
I honestly don't think Florida's ever going to be a swing state again.
I would be surprised. Yeah, I concur. You just never know, though, man. Like, you just don't ever know. Like, you don't ever count any chickens. Like,
well, that's the cyclical thing. When things are going well, then it's like, all right, let's loosen up our stance on things and start spreading the wealth a little bit, and then you go back to, then you get like the liberal policies, and until that starts failing.
Most concerned is if this next election cycle, let's say conservatives take back the House and the Senate, it's just a race to see how quickly they can fuck it up again. Like, seriously, like instantly their brain shuts off. They forget why we sent them there, and it's business as usual. I guarantee you, dude. It just drives me insane. And how do we break that? I just don't know. But like, that's what my gut tells me. Like, yeah, people are like, all right, screw all this noise, and then maybe a couple things, and then next thing you know, it's just lunacy is normal. You're like, just freaking stop.
My friend just texted me.
Not to be Debbie Downer, but damn it,
there's a debate on TV right now. Oregon governor debate on TV right now, apparently.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's the Charlie Foxtrot too, isn't it? Is it still 3 people?
Yeah, Kotek, Betsy Johnson, and I forget the other person.
Christine Lazard.
Yeah.
Blazen.
Yeah, because I think Betsy's definitely splitting that vote. I don't know, man. Yeah.
It could be Kochek or Betsy, or this Christine has a route to victory if they split the vote enough.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the picture of Kochek at Pendleton?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Is that the liberal person, or who's the Democrat? I don't even know what's going on there.
Oh.
Betsy Johnson's the independent, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
What are you talking about? Pendleton, Richard? I don't know. I know
she was in Pendleton at the roundup, and she had her cowboy outfit on.
Ah. What's her name?
Kochek.
Kotek. I think it's Kotec, something like that. I saw her in a stupid cowboy shirt. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it was so.
There's an article on OPP that
it's not Tina Kotek, is it?
Yeah.
White, short hair?
Yeah.
She was wearing an outfit at Roundup?
Yeah, she was at the Pendleton Roundup. She was
Pull
always
it
I
up.
saw her in the parade, but I don't ever remember seeing her like that.
She was just dressed silly.
What was it like? I'm sure it was golden. Yeah, was she like?
It was like a white shirt with like black.
Oh, I see a picture
tassels
here.
or something.
Kotek's cowboy hat stunt betrays rural Oregon values. That's at the Oregon Catalyst. It's like a blue shirt with white fringe and a shitty hat. There's one picture of her. That was in the roundup parade, I think, or parade. Yeah. Yeah. She had a really crappy looking straw hat on and a blue, like Roy Rogers shirt with like white fringe.
Couldn't like somebody on her staff be like, "Hey guys, I know somebody from Pendleton, Baker,
No.
LeGrand,
Just
Joseph, somewhere out in Eastern Oregon. Let's
don't.
ask them if this outfit is
Just
going to
don't.
go over well."
Don't. Just, dude, wear your governor suit. Like, just that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. Yeah. Like,
But OPB had an article about how Pendleton is becoming like a big political campaign stop for Oregon politics.
Of course, yeah.
And that seems like that's a bad thing. I don't want
That means your
Pendleton to
demographics getting over to the point where they could tip it. I don't think they're going to hit Lake County for a while.
probably not. Yeah. Come on down around up there. Yeah. Do the circuit. You could do Lake County, Harney County, and then Pendleton. You know,
I got to tell you my cowboy hat story with my ad agency for Google.
Okay.
I always get hit up to get like we can put you at the top of the Google search. Never works. So, anyways, I guess this one was Facebook. They're like, we'll get you in Facebook. We'll get you a bunch of leads because you got to pay a lot of marketing. You got to pay marketing in real estate, and which I'm fine doing. Just some of it's so crappy. It's crazy. But so they run these ads for me, and they're like generic Photoshop barns and these horses running. Not really good stock images. I'm like, hey, I'm done with you guys. Cancel my. Oh, we want to try again. He goes, what's wrong with it? I'm like, I need Yellowstone, and you're giving me Hallmark. I said, have you ever watched a cowboy movie on Hallmark? And he goes, yeah. He goes, have you ever seen? I said this to him. I said, have you seen the fucked up hats they wear and the weird boots? And he's like, well, yeah. Isn't that how it looks? I said, do you watch Yellowstone? And he's like, yeah, I love that show. I said, here's what you're giving me. You're giving me Hallmark, and I want Yellowstone. And unless you can get me to Yellowstone, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Anyways, they worked on it for a week, and they said, oh, we're going to see some samples of the new ad campaign. We're going to do it. Then finally, dead, radio silence. Haven't got charged since. So apparently not everybody can do Yellowstone.
Turns out, yeah. But I will say, and I have to say this for damn sure, is I had my 20X rebuilt. Well, I left it there last year after Pendleton because I was going to be back in June for like Jackalope Jamboree. But Perk at Pendleton hat, dude, he worked that hat over. You wouldn't even think it's the same lid, dude. Absolutely amazing. Like top notch. Like can't say how good a job he did. Like phenomenal. So
he just went and bought you a new hat.
He might have, and it was be a hell of a bargain at that price, and I'm proud of him for doing it. But yeah, whatever he did, I don't think he's going to make any money doing that in the long term. But I'm sure as hell going back for whatever. But it is amazing. I truly loved it. So yeah, just an outstanding job. Can't recommend it enough. So Perk, thank you, man. You did a tremendous job, dude. That's like the best I've ever seen. Way surprised. So I think Brian took a hat in there too, Joel. And he was like, he actually accused him of like, this is not the same hat. Like it's like.
I was there with Brian when he took it in. I was curious to see the result, but
Tremendous.
I wasn't around long enough to see it.
I'm impressed.
It was in bad shape when he took it in.
Yeah,
Brian. I remember Brian wearing that to his high school senior prom.
It's kind of like old Dietz. He ain't willing to give up on piece of clothing just because it's a little threadbare. So, it's like
Old deets.
but it was amazing. Yeah. So can't recommend that enough. It was way cool. So, and good price too. Yeah. So I'm curious how that Oregon governor thing is going to play out. But I'm more curious how we're going to keep chasing quote unquote green energy. Only thing green about green energy is all the fucking money we're pouring at it. That's the only thing green about green energy. Seriously.
It could. I imagine one season, one cold winter, their entire plan will go to all the hell.
It hasn't yet. Like every summer, like when you shut down California because you can't even run your air conditioner, or like a couple winters ago in Texas was like dead. Recently here in Florida, when like all the power's out everywhere, like where are you taking your car, dude? Like somebody I know, like their Tesla flooded. Can you imagine how bad that is on the environment when the Tesla gets flooded? Like how think about like a freaking AA battery gets water on it, how shitty that gets quick. You got a whole freaking car that's basically a battery, and now it's ruined. You got to do something with it. That's the other thing. Like, where are all these batteries going when we get done with these cars, man? Like,
landfill,
yeah.
And just wait till like this winter it gets kind of bad, then you're gonna see like, oh, the US steps in. We're gonna provide $400 billion to Europe for energy. Like what? Every time we just step in and we just here, we'll just make more of this. You guys
makes
have
it all the better. Yeah, I saw like 7 memes today of like Florida residents put up Ukrainian flags so US will send aid. Like
I saw a thing. Politico had posted an article, and they referred to so DeSantis is, of course, Florida is looking for federal aid for relief, right? And it's all well and good until DeSantis comes looking to the president. They called it the president's wallet. See that?
I missed that, but that's interesting. Yeah.
Do you guys really view our taxpayer money as just the president's money?
Not even remotely. No. Yeah. Like that's insulting to even say that out loud.
It is
who
insulting.
The president is, like, it doesn't come from the president. That's why we have those assholes in Congress. Yeah.
My God, it was the people's money when they were spending it for COVID, though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's the people's money when they're hiring 80,000 IRS agents too to come drag it out of your fucking dead body. Have we heard any more about this student loan forgiveness, dude? Is that because he can't do that anyways? Just because he says he wants to forgive student loans doesn't make it.
There's like 8 states that are challenging it in the Supreme Court.
Well, yeah, but like you just can't like wave a wand and forgive debt like that. Like there's a process. Like
really, they did it for Bear Stearns. They did it for the banks and the bailout.
Apparently, well, didn't Congress have to eventually vote on that?
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, sure. If you want to like, hey, we're going to come together, we're going to vote. We're saying, yeah, we're wiping out all debt for anybody that's whatever. But you just can't have like one,
right?
Not really one person, but like some asshole, whoever's pulling all this puppet strings, just be like, yeah, and no more student debt for this level. Like,
I do find it hypocritical that the Republicans are bashing it so much, because when we bailed out the auto industry, nobody blinked an eye. When we bailed out the banks, nobody blinked an eye. But when we actually go to bail out individual Americans, it's like the house is on fire and the roof's falling down. It should have been like that when we went to do the auto bailout, and it should have been like that when I went to do the bank. So I find it hypocritical that this is a hot button issue, because a lot of those same bastards voted for both those 2 bailouts. And we know the educational system is screwed up. We know that it's predatory. And when it comes around to helping individual Americans rather than corporations and it's this big end of the world personal judgment on those people. And look, I don't care either way, but I don't like the hypocrisy.
I'll point out one very important detail, Richard. is when you say a bank bailout, are you talking about TARP? TARP
Yeah, they
funds?
could do the same thing with the student loan bailout,
The banks paid that money back
right?
with
But
interest.
if the banks could manage to pay that money back,
The banks
maybe
took
they
a
could help
1 year, maybe a
education figure out
2 year
how to pay it
loan.
back.
They took maybe a 2 year loan at worst. That's completely different.
Did the
The
auto
banks paid
industry
it
pay
back.
it back?
What?
Did the auto industry pay their loans back?
I'm not familiar with the auto industry bailout, but I actually don't know anything about that. But
it is, you go back to the thing too, like student loans are the only ones you can't like claim in bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Like, that seems interesting.
Yeah, we should get rid of that little detail, and we'd see like banks being unwilling to.
Well, what I learned
lend
in
to
this whole
students.
fiasco is how much we're actually loaning the colleges.
Mhm.
Are you aware of this?
I don't know the numbers.
It's amazing. If that's not 1/3 of the total that the students pay, but we've been supplementing the colleges. So I can't figure out why because when Micah and I went to school, I don't know about Joel, but we lived in basic prison cells as dorms.
Oh yeah.
So
I didn't live in the dorms, but I wandered through a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was nothing. And then now you can go and you can have like 3-bedroom apartment and 2 bathrooms and a beautiful kitchen and a living room. I mean, that's where our money's going. So I guess it's capitalism at its best, but there's got to be some sort of minimum, or I don't know what it is, but I can tell you education's out of control and somehow it needs to be corrected.
Well, I concur. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. I think.
Well, it reaches a point where either you find it worthwhile or you don't. You don't bail people out of it because they made the wrong decision.
See,
at the expense of the rest of us, and at the expense of somebody that was like, you know what, it's not as financially. I wish I could go to college. I think that'd be a great experience. Probably help me long term, but I'm just not in a financial position to do it, and you just don't do it. Or the parents that sacrifice and scrimp and save to give money to their kids to pay their way, and they don't get any bailout.
So the loan bail, 2008 collapse, the credit derivatives, that was paramountly criminal.
Why?
And we bailed that out. That was bets on top of bets on top of bets on top of bets of things that had no value.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have.
And you're
to
saying that
that was federal policy. You had to do it.
You can't. But I'm just saying, it's insane. It's insane to bitch about the college kids and then not bitch about the banks and the auto loans. You can't separate the three. They're all bailouts.
You can't. Yeah, you can. No, you can't. Yeah, absolutely, you can.
No.
So with the credit default swap issue, if you're a bank, you're trying to operate and you're trying to compete in a free market. I put quotation marks in there because banks are heavily regulated. Yeah. That's what I do. If you, on top of that, if you go back and look at like George W., well, probably back to Clinton and definitely George W. during their State of the Union addresses, I remember specifically George W. talking about how, highlighting the fact of achieving the American dream in home ownership is expanding, basically. Like more people than ever are able to afford their own homes because of federal policy. And if you're a bank subject to our regulators, you're not allowed to sit around and make a credit decision on something as simple as, can this person pay this fucking loan back? You can't do that because you're going to get hit with discrimination charges, and you're just not allowed to. So you have to give the loan, and then, but they can't make you hold on to it. So you got to get that shit off your books. You got to get these shitty loans off your books. And the best way they knew how was, okay, if we package this all up into a bunch of mortgages, yeah, some of them can fail, but it's not really going to make a difference. But then the credit market dried up and people lost their jobs and they defaulted. I don't, it's really easy just to say, hey, big bad bank, you guys screwed us over. They didn't have a choice. I'm not criticizing
the banks. I'm criticizing the bailout of the banks.
The system of it all.
You can't bail out one industry.
What happens if you let the banks fail? It's, oh my God, man.
We don't know what happens if we let the banks fail because we never did it.
We did. It's not a bank. We let laymen.
We don't know what happens if we pay off everybody's college loans because we never did it.
But we do know
to have two different standards.
Fucking outrageous.
To have two different standards for corporation and individual reeks of hypocrisy.
You're also forgetting again. I'll remind you, TARP was the bailout, and the banks paid TARP back. We're going to bail out student loans. Are they going to pay it back? No.
I remember a lot of people.
They're going to bitch and complain that they might have to pay taxes on their handout.
I remember quite a few of the bankers that caused the meltdown in 2008. As soon as the government bailed them out, they got big fat bonuses for doing a shitty job.
So they didn't do a shitty job. They did what they were supposed to do. If you don't pay them, you can't run your operation. You can't run your operation if you don't pay your employees. That big shot at Goldman Sachs, if you don't give me, it's not my fucking fault that this is the policy.
It's the policy.
If you don't give me a bonus, I'm going to go to JP Morgan.
Yeah, I think that's what Joel's saying is like the policy was you will give these loans or you're probably going to get sued for discrimination, even though it was total bullshit to give those loans.
Yep.
Like it was the interjection of the governmental policy on that loan act. And like,
can't we make the same argument? It's total bullshit that kids have been leveraged this much money.
No.
What the value, what it costs to go to school now versus what you get back? Absolutely. That's completely horseshit too.
Yep.
No way around that. Like the ratio of what university costs versus average wage or whatever that matrix is completely disproportionate to what it was.
I don't buy it.
1980, versus what it costs now to go to school because it is subsidized by loans. They just inflate the price of the university. And so, that's the problem with a lot of the student loan things as well. It's like, it shouldn't cost you $100,000.
So don't go to college.
That's fine too. Like nobody forces you to go to college.
Degree.
That's my point as well. Like nobody forces you. But if you're going to be bailing out people that got shitty student loans versus somebody who went to trade school, learned how to weld, and has running a small business and used loans to get that, why aren't you taking care of them too? Like,
yeah, no, I'm not.
That's my point. Is like
trade schools got bailed out a while ago, didn't they?
I have no idea. I don't know how you.
Why would you bail interject this thing about
it's
a
literally
shitty
for
student
profit?
Loan? Why do you say a shitty student loan?
Because it's massively inflated.
Yeah, the student loan process inflated the cost of university like 1,000-fold, dude.
100% the government stepping in to put policies in place
should never been
for sure.
Like, as soon as they got involved, it was rat fucked. Like,
but if they don't do that, the banks aren't going to give out the loans, and then people just are.
Why wouldn't they give out the loans?
Because it's not worth it. It's not a good credit decision. If you're a banker, like I'm not going to give an unsecured loan to an 18-year-old.
You're in circle. You're sort of
going to university to get a better job and a better career, so he can pay back the loan. Like, don't you see like that circle's broken then, man? Like, or would you only base it on what your major was and be like, hey, look, if you're fucking studying pottery making, I'm not loaning you any goddamn money.
Yeah, I think that if you give the banks, if you make loans dischargeable under bankruptcy rules, a bank would then judge like, okay, what are you going to study?
Yeah,
and they're going to
for sure.
monitor your
So see,
progress.
again,
Yep, there we go. That's a solution.
Yeah, for sure.
that's
I
when the
think that's-
government got involved and said, like, whoa, you can't do that. Like, it's just got to be this, because it really did inflate the value or the cost of school by the fact that almost anybody could just go sign up and get money to go do it. So, like, the more we loan out, the more we get back. So let's freaking let her rip, tater chip. Or if it was like more like a business decision, like
there, it's nonsense. To go to college, if I want to go to college and study engineering, that should probably cost more money than if I want to go to college and study literature.
Maybe so, but you can also probably get like a unsecured low interest loan to go do that through a bank or maybe a private individual, like some kind of industry, not necessarily the government throwing money at that. So everybody goes to university. So then they raise the price because they know everybody's going to come anyways. So it's not based on the value of the education anymore. It's based on what they can charge because everybody gets cheap money to go do it. So
yeah, the literature professor should be making about $35,000 a year, and the engineering professor make whatever they make, $200,000.
I wouldn't discount the people that teach people how to write.
But I think it's like the whole point.
Well, if you're in college, hopefully you already know how to write.
What are you going to university for? I want to study. Okay. Maybe you make the first year of university absolutely free.
It is 2 years. You can go to college for 2 years for free.
Well, you can go to local community college for damn near nothing if you want.
I got paid to go to community.
And maybe that's how it should be. Like, hey, look, you got to go to community college for 2 years if you're going to go through this program to figure out what the hell you want to go do. And at that point, like, look, I'm going to transfer to university. I want to be an engineer. Here's my grades. Here's my thing. And it's in a bank and be like, you seem like a worthy risk. We're going to back this.
I want to say community college every 3 months. They'd pay my tuition every term. And then I get a check for somewhere around $1,500. Who's
they?
Pell Grant.
Yeah.
Federal student loan assistance, Pell Grants and stuff. Not loans. I don't have to pay it back, but they pay it all.
Yeah.
And now it's even more generous. Like there's no reason why if people want to go, like people want to go to their 4-year college as a freshman,
sure.
And you want to take out a loan, you're gonna fucking have to pay it back.
I totally agree. That
we're not paying it back.
Nobody's forcing you to go to university. But we've completely hosed the system over with the interjection of the government programs also. I definitely don't think we have to, have loan forgiveness, but make it so it's bankruptcy. I think make it so it has value again, make it what it really should cost. But I've been paying my fucking student loans. Are you going to pay me back for all the shit I've already paid? Like if you're gonna open this can of worms, like how far are you going to open it up? Like is it just idiots now? When does it cut off? All this stuff, specific majors. There's some programs like that. If you're like in public service, so many years they'll wipe out your student loans. Okay.
Well, if you're like I'm a good example of this. I still owe about $40,000 in student loan debt. Well, maybe 30. I forget, but
you haven't even looked at it. Yeah.
I still have an automatic payment, $400 or something like that every month goes to a student loan payment. I'm a Pell Grant recipient, so therefore I would qualify for this $20,000 forgiveness. But after college, what they tell you is like, take all your student loans, consolidate them, and refinance them.
Screwed.
So I do that, and now they're with a private lender, and everybody like me, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I did the same thing. I consolidated out through a private lender, so like those aren't eligible.
So only if you fuck up every step of the way do you benefit from this.
Sounds pretty familiar, don't it? Yeah.
Anyways, my point is you can't compare bailouts. I just think that when it comes around to bailing out actual human beings, you can't really say that's not right when you bail out corporations.
And during that financial crisis, they did bail out individuals with redoing mortgages because everybody was underwater, and they spent a ton of money to redo all that. And that was at my expense as well. I don't
made bad choices in that too.
I didn't make a bad choice.
ARM and mortgages, they're doing delays, they're doing balloon payments because like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy this house I'm not going to pay shit. And I'm going to flip it. I'm going to sell it. It's going to go up. And then guess what? It goes underwater. And now you got a huge payment. And you're like, I'm fucked, you know?
And now you're in a situation where most people like my age and below, maybe a few years older than me, I don't know if this is true for me, but a lot of people will never be able to afford to buy a home because the market continues to be propped up by the federal government being like, okay, we'll preserve the value of your real estate, even though it's outrageous. Like your home should probably be worth about half of what it's worth if it wasn't for the government stepping into that.
Maybe in certain places.
Yeah. Probably not everywhere, but
no, I think.
I know. I the other thing I sort of take issue with is bashing the liberal arts, because I guarantee you, I use the stuff that I learned in my philosophy, critical thinking, and symbolic logic class as much as I use everything I learned in my financial classes.
You're an exception, Richard.
But I'm just saying.
I mean, I don't really care what degree you get. I don't give a shit, really. That's your choice. But ultimately, that's your choice. Like, that's where I get pissed off about, like, I know it's short-sighted, but like, look, you chose that. You can't figure out how to make a living with that. Don't come to me. I'm sorry. I didn't choose that either. You know, like,
but
Richard, there's probably a difference between when you went to school versus people going to school now too. What they're learning,
I got a Benedictine. I got a lot of philosophy with Benedictine nuns, so it's a little bit different.
Most definitely, but like,
and I also
follow your passion too. That's great, but like when you get out and like you can't do anything, I'm sorry, man. That was life is choices.
I never thought for a minute that I was going to make money doing philosophy, but I do. What I did learn there,
you use it as a tool though, and you don't just sit there and wait for it to show up so you can pontificate about something.
Yeah,
you know. So,
and I will say that college level writing for me really was beneficial.
Absolutely, me as well. Yeah, a lot of things about college are beneficial. Like, I'm not bitching about me having to pay back my student loans. I'm bitching about if you're going to pay somebody else's, and then I'm going to have to pay double because it's going to come out of my taxes, and I'm still paying mine. So, you know, like, why? You know, if you really want to be fair, like, you know, what the hell, dude?
Attacking liberal arts, it's not necessarily. I think it creates quite a bit of value in society that isn't as measurable in a capitalistic system as we would like it to be.
Sure.
I fail to see much value in the liberal arts.
Writing, philosophy.
You can learn that on your own. Read a book.
I don't think writing's under liberal arts.
I think I probably learned more from. I learned more about writing from reading. The Sun Also Rises and reading Holden Caulfield. What's that book?
But that sort of falls in that liberal arts category.
Yeah, but you can read that on your own, and you can just pick up. Oh, I see what he's doing with his punctuation and writing.
You spent $80,000 and you could have spent $12 in late fees.
Yeah. I'll tell you an interesting experience I had as an English teacher in high school. They physically do not teach kids how to analyze stories, how to break down. Like, I was talking to two 22-year-old college graduates that couldn't figure out who the narrator of Game of Thrones was.
Wow. Well, education is completely different as well. It's even worth less than it was when we went through.
Yeah, you think of all the subtle context when they don't even teach you how to analyze a story. There's so much about business is reading between the lines. Much about negotiation is about reading between the lines. But those foundational cores come from being able to analytically break down a very simple stories to begin with and more complex stories. And I can't even imagine watching like all these people, like they talk about Game of Thrones or they talk about the newest series, and they've actually done they don't really realize the layers that are to it. And when you start explaining the layers to them, they're like, holy shit, that was in that movie right in front of my face the entire time and I never realized it. Because we just don't teach that. And I think part of the stigma that goes around it is because you got guys on Fox News and the Republicans out there bashing liberal arts type of things. And that's not constructive in any part of the way.
Well, I agree as well. I just keep putting myself in a position like if I had money to loan for college, would I loan for somebody to get a liberal arts degree? I don't know. Maybe. I think it's a component.
Depends who you are, right?
It's certainly a foundation for everything else.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. I fully believe that, but
Well, everybody that goes to college has to take some foundational liberal arts stuff. You just don't have to major in it.
Right.
Yeah. It's a key component.
Yeah, of course it's beneficial.
It's not just when you get to university. Like it's been, like for me, what, 6th grade on, like it was like writing and speech and art and, but of course, again, I think our education that we were now looking back fortunate enough to have is probably shifted from what most people get from 6th grade on now. I don't know. I haven't been to school forever, but that's my guess.
Someday I'll get to talk about all the research I've been doing into education. It is.
Yes, that will be quite intriguing.
It is mind blowing.
Gentlemen,
where'd you learn how to do research? Not in liberal arts.
Nope. You just the Dewey Decimal System in the library. Yeah. So
I can learn that in statistics and
statistics was actually one of my favorite classes, and I don't think I would have done so well in statistics had I not had logic classes before.
I'm truly loving this discussion, but I am old and tired and mean. So
I got a PlayStation 5, you guys.
Is that Joel's job to be the liberal and mine?
I know that's what's killing me so much. Like it's just my brain can't hardly just process it all at this moment, Yeah. Joel's trying to distract me with the PS5.
Jeez, you've come a long ways.
Bradbury's like, these damn Republicans are bashing on liberal arts degrees and shit and bail out the government, screwing over all the individuals. And Joe's like, hey, wait a minute. And I'm just like, yeah. So
I get pretty heated about when it comes to the financial crisis.
Well, I mean, you were in it more than anybody else on this goddamn podcast.
I was there. I was a stupid ass 20.
Hell, I was there. Yeah,
3-year-old. I didn't know what was going on, but
that's so funny because I was about the age I was in Seattle in 2001 when the .com booms crashed, and I got to see that firsthand. I got to see all those broke ass motherfuckers sitting at the coffee tables at Starbucks with nothing to do because their entire lives just disintegrated in front of them. I of course had a blue collar job, so I was all right, but I could afford my mochas. But
highs, the lows, yeah.
But to see that in a community like Seattle, that was devastating. That was really sort of depressing to see. And so when you say that you were there as a 22-year-old kid, that is the perfect time in your life to be there because that's the time when you really internalize that kind of stuff because I think you really absorb those kind of experiences. And as you get older, you sort of get hardened to them.
Yeah. What's interesting? Somebody was talking recently about Occupy Wall Street. Something I was listening. It was Dave Smith. He was recently on Joe Rogan's podcast. I'm about done with the episode because it's like a 3-hour episode, but it's really good. I recommend it. But Dave Smith brought up at a certain point in time back in 2008, you had Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party. Which kind of emerged at the same time with the same basic goal and the same argument. And his point was that what's happened since is that big business is sort of, acquiesced to what I would say is more the Occupy Wall Street crowd, but kind of trick them to being on their side by they created division between the Tea Party and the Occupy Wall Street people.
Well, wasn't there
what was interesting is
on Occupy, wasn't there? What were we getting distracted from?
Well, the reason I brought up Occupy Wall Street is because I was working across the street from there when that was happening in Zuccotti Park. And at lunchtime, we'd go walk through Zuccotti Park and look at all the tents and all the people, and Michael Moore was in there, and fucking Spike Lee in there doing interviews, and you'd see all these people just taking advantage of the situation to promote their own brand,
Mhm.
is what you would call Michael Moore, right? But yeah, I think that was probably a pretty, maybe time will show that to be a pretty fortunate experience to see that firsthand.
Oh, no
and
doubt
how
about that.
worked.
I was just questioning like the validity and the timing of that particular event. I've read somewhere, heard somewhere like that was distracting from something else major that was going on, but I don't recall what it is, so it's not really worth anything. But yeah, to see that at your time, all that was very beneficial.
That was a mess.
Yeah. And hey, guys, as I said earlier, I'm old and tired of cranky, so I think we should switch to the happy ending and wrap up season 1 or episode 1 of season 4 with some happy thoughts and some happy endings. And we've only been here almost 2 hours already, so let these fine people get on the rest of their afternoon and get back on the road, because most people have pulled off in the ditch laughing or screaming at us. So
I'm sure screaming this episode.
most likely, I think it's awesome. So we're gonna have some great follow up for next one. Yeah. So Rich, you want to lead us off with happy ending?
It was nice having this conversation. Happy ending. Oh, I'm gonna blank.
Okay. Something comes up, you can circle back. Yeah.
All right.
Joel?
Yeah, to echo what Richard just said a little bit, I like having these conversations because for me, like I really enjoyed talking about this sort of stuff. And I understand that I come across as like I piss people off. Like,
That's all right.
I every once in a while, like I'll get in an argument and somebody will just be like, I refuse to talk to you anymore about this. I'm like, what? Like, we're just
Like,
at
what
the bar.
happened, dude?
It's like,
Yeah.
I thought we were just talking about this. And these days, if somebody doesn't agree with you, especially if you have like a kind of a, what's considered to be like a right-wing viewpoint and you're talking to a left-wing person, they will not even engage in the conversation anymore. And they'll just abruptly leave it angrily. And I'm like, I don't know. I that's happened to me a couple times over the last 2 weeks where like I thought we were just having a reasonable conversation and they refused to participate in it anymore because I don't agree with them.
You got this damn reason and logic and thought, and like
Yeah,
you don't need talking points, or like like you don't just throw around like blank words like fascist and like,
they might as well say fuck your facts.
yeah. Oh, dude, yeah, those get in the way of a good story.
I'm always reminded. Have you ever seen the movie Liar Liar?
Yes.
This scene always pops up. I'm trying to look for it on memes or gifs or whatever. But there's like a scene in that when Jim Carrey says, "I object."
Yes.
And the judge says, "On what grounds?" He goes, "Because this is detrimental to my case."
Exactly.
I always think of that nowadays, but
That's so perfect, though. Yeah.
I will say
so
one
yeah,
thing.
I like this.
One thing in
What's
the
that?
past is I've really been focusing on so I've taken the Myers-Briggs, and it's basically astrology, but I enjoy it.
Oh, I think it's
And
pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I've really been diving into my personality, and I now see where a lot of people I offend a lot of people.
Oh, really?
So, but that has been sort of an interest. That's sort of one of the happy notes of what's gone on probably with my life in the last 7 months. Is
Mhm.
I've really been doing a deep dive into my personality, and I got this way from a series of experiences, and
Absolutely.
yeah, and they were hard-earned experiences. And I think as you get older, it gets a little bit harder to shift that. And so I think at some point you have to decide if you're going to be comfortable with yourself or if you're not going to be. And
Mhm.
so I'm trying to learn these observations about that people have made about my particular personality type, and try and like see how their weaknesses, but I always view them as strengths, but I need to see them how their weaknesses and soften them a little bit, but not really change them or
Well,
approach
I mean,
things
like
from a different angle.
delivery. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not pointing at anything particular, but like that's always the key to almost anything. I can tell you happy birthday in 8 different ways. You're only going to believe maybe one of them.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess that'd be my high point is sometimes in adversity you reflect on things and actually makes you a better person.
That's what makes you a better
Everybody
person.
might not agree with that, but it's
No,
really your path and you're charted what direction you're going.
you learn from that experience, like good Dr. Andy Huber said, in the end, all we are is an embodiment of our experiences.
Yep.
And what we do with those is important, like that's really key. Learning from that.
Anyways, in Joel's reflection, he was sort of reflecting along the same lines that I've been reflecting. So that's what brought it up. So thanks for jogging that out of me, Joel.
Good job, Mr. Joel. See,
anytime, Rich.
You're just a catalyst. Yeah. Catalyst for conversation.
I could probably have an hour-long conversation on just that phenomenon. I think there's a certain element of people that can react a certain way to encountering an opinion different than theirs, and if they can take this new reaction to it, like, you know what, I'm not even going to engage with you, I'm going to walk away even though we're having a conversation. Nope, can't even talk to you anymore because you've just challenged my worldview, and I'm not even gonna. And then they can walk away and feel good and pat themselves on the back about like, I'm a good fucking liberal. It's just disgusting behavior, and I think maybe it's a structural. I don't think there's any way to get out of it.
Over the
you got to get back
5 years
to the high school
debate,
basic foundational education level, which is now controlled by a certain element of people.
Yeah, I think
it's hopeless.
I think that's the interesting thing about people's personalities, because I'm more than happy to pull the pin out of a grenade and throw it in the middle of a room and watch how people react and see what I learn. And there's other spectrum of the personality that think that is quite possibly the worst way of communicating that you could ever engage in.
That's exactly what I do, Rich.
That's your opinion, exactly, man. Yeah.
So I think that
people always tell me like, you're just looking for a reaction. Like, I guess I don't know if that's what I'm doing.
I'm what you think about something,
That's very Socratic method. That's very the dialogues of Socrates. He's always pulling pins out of things and throwing them in things just to see how people react. And we based that our whole last 7,000 years of our education system on that type of reaction. And it's just in the last, I say 60 years, you could pick any random 120 years, 60 years, 20 years, that we've crossed this line where that's no longer acceptable. And my question is, how did we get so smart that we can say something that we learned in the last 60 years or 3 generations can invalidate that other 3,000 years that has it backed up? Mm-hmm. It's like a situation I was in. There was this lady.
It's a science.
That's not the. So I was in a situation and talking about raising boys, and this lady was and she was the leader of the conversation, and she was just bashing men right and left. And I just wanted to get through this thing, so I was biting my tongue, and I just couldn't take it anymore. She's like, if you're telling your kid
masculinity,
if you're telling your kid to toughen up or walk it off, then you're part of the problem. I was like, all right. So what you're saying is what we've learned in the last 60 years is going to negate 300 generations of male model behavior. And she's like, well, yes. I'm like, really?
You think the jury might be out a little bit on that still?
Yeah.
That bitch needs to go build some walls in Inishmore.
But
if you like just want to put the balance, the scales up and just see how that tips. Let's just look and see where we're at. Yeah.
But I think that there's people that have a longer timeline and know that there's these waves. And they know that just because we did disagree this time, that all the information's not in. It's not in yet. So we can have these open conversations. But then there's those people that are still wearing masks in their cars in the middle of the desert between Denial and Lakeview. They were convinced from the moment that it happened. They don't need any other facts. They don't want to have any other conversation about it. That is where they're at. And those are the two spectrums of people.
It's a dude. Well said. Yeah. Well said.
I don't know how we got here, but
Yeah, one of those when I told you 2 conversations that abruptly ended for me in the last couple of weeks. One of them was I said something along the lines of mask policy was fucking ridiculous, and they don't do anything to prevent the spread of COVID. And this guy was like, "Okay, you're wrong." And then he's like, I can't be a part of this conversation." He walked away. That was one of them.
Yeah. You're like, all right,
hey,
dude.
you forgot your mask.
Yeah. Like, where's that going to get us? But I was like, okay, whatever, I guess that's better than you like yelling at me and not having any dialogue. But like, same thing, like, all right, yeah, you're just instantly judged as, incompetent and I'm leaving now.
How dare you ask me to prove that these work?
Yeah.
They just do. It's the science. God, guys.
Yeah, only follow the science when it's convenient for you. That's what I like to. But yeah.
All right, Micah, do your happy ending before we get in another tangent. Or no, I can't even talk. I'm so tired. Go for it.
Tangent.
My happy ending has been like, fortunately for us, we dodged the hurricane. Unfortunately for everybody else, they did not. But fortunately for us that we did. And B is finally getting us all herded together at the same time, at the same place to kick off this new season and just see everybody and remember how much I really, really miss these conversations. No matter what the topic, it's just fuel for me and my soul. And I appreciate that. So I thank you guys for putting up with my changing schedule. And I know all of ours have been in circles, but I think we'll hopefully track back down that fall's coming a bit more. So that's my happy ending is truly getting this tonight. So I appreciate that.
I'd like to pinpoint the point in time when I got so important I don't have time. That's the weirdest thing to me. I'd like to go back and correct that.
Good mindset, Richard. Yeah. It is.
Yeah, every time I reach out, I'd be like, we'd get this like right to it. And it happened with all of us. And I'd be like, no, damn it, I have to go sit with these people and do this thing. And I don't want to. I'd rather be doing the podcast, but I have this adult shit I have to deal with. It sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I think we should do is because we haven't been doing these podcasts on any regular schedule lately, but I think that what we should do to mix things up is let's start inviting somebody new every time. Like we'll get Kurt on here or Brian, and
yeah, I'm up for inviting other folks for sure. Yeah,
get Junior to do one. Anthony will do one. My friend Billy. I'm sure you guys have buddies that'll join for.
Yeah, we actually owe 2 people one already. We need to have Amy and Shandy on so they can talk about Mongolia.
Yeah,
the Derby. Yeah, they need to talk about that. I think that'd be wonderful.
I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah, dude, hell yeah, we're all about bringing on the guests. I mean, that's how Far Reaches Extra kind of got started, is this like side one-on-one conversation. I think it's great. So if we want to bring on random people here, I still think we should do more Far Reaches Extras with you other bastards as well. Joel, the one you did was great. Richard, awesome. So
yeah.
Up for anything, man. Like, this is for us and the people who still listen and give us feedback. And I get notices every single day on Facebook that people are looking at far reaches, like every single day. We have not done a podcast for, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months. But there's activity every single day of somebody looking or listening. So like it or not, there's demand. And it's fun. I really like the feedback. It's just what we make it. So open for suggestions. Yeah, hell yeah. We want to have more guests on. Absolutely. We want to contain more topics. Hell yeah. Whatever, man. I'm all open. So it'll be great.
All right, fellas. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
With that said, thanks again to our sponsors, B&K Auto. We couldn't do without y'all. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. Hopefully we can help you out more as well. We'll have some new promo codes coming up soon. So again, for everybody out there listening, you can find us on Spotify and Apple and iTunes and our Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel. None of them are highly curated because we all just kind of do it when we can. So we appreciate that. If you have thoughts, concerns, if you want us to talk about a specific topic, if you want to be on the podcast and talk about a topic that you want, like, hell yeah, we'll have caller number 9. That's totally cool as well. So, we're all over that. And, hey, sexy woman.
We got a new guest in.
Check that out. Man.
Her new yellow coat.
Yeah. Hey, darling. That's awesome. So we'll wrapping up the live stream. We'll wrap it up this episode. But again, keep the questions, comments, and concerns coming. Until then, remember, keep on reaching.
On reaching, brother.